Polaris SnoCross.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Hard4Games. I'm your host Tony, and today we have a little bit of a rarity. If you've been watching the show, you know we get lots of development cartridges in, but today we have a Game Boy Color cartridge with rumble functionality. It is Polaris SnoCross, a snowmobile overhead racing title. You start the game, you choose your stats, and off you go. I have never been particularly good at these types of games. It's not my preferred subgenre of racing title, so I am actually pretty bad. I'd say that the way your player character looks when facing directly forward is approximately how I feel about these types of games. Although this one does add in a little bit of a wrinkle to the gameplay, and actually it's a nice touch. The rumble feature actually works really well here and sort of ignites whenever you bump into pretty much anything. So it works for me because I'm particularly bad at this game. Now, there are a few differences between this version and the retail version, but before we get into those, let's take a look at the cartridge. All right, everybody, here we have the prototype and development cartridge for Polaris SnoCross, and next to it we have a retail Rumble-enabled GBC game, Little Mermaid 2 Pinball Frenzy, which is actually a pretty solid pinball game. If you enjoy video pinball, you actually might want to check this one out. But just kind of wanted to showcase this one next to this one so you can kind of compare and see the differences. Speaking of differences, here is the cartridge compared to a regular Game Boy Color cart. Now, pretty obvious from the outside here, we don't have a game label sticker, but we do have a sticker describing how to utilize the dip switches, which are down here, up or down, on or off, which control the amount of flash memory you can utilize. Or you can have don't care. On the back here, we have a little label saying version 3. I'm sure this is probably in reference to the build that they happen to flash onto this thing. We don't have version 1, we don't have version 2, we have version 3. So here we have the development board on the right and the retail board on the left. Now, like I mentioned before, these are two different games. It's entirely possible that maybe Polaris SnoCross may have used slightly different components or a different board at retail. I'm not sure. I just kind of wanted to give a very basic basis for comparison between development and retail when it came to GBC Rumble. And speaking of which, this is the part that actually does the rumbling. Now, this title does seem to be very, very close to final. I was only able to find two differences, one of which you would never know unless you popped it into a hex editor. So when you throw it into a hex editor, one of the first things you see is a message from the developers. Bald Rage, Big Nasty, Sambone, Stubbs, Shady, George, Rick, brought to you by a bunch of VV chimps. Now, these are nicknames for the developers, some of which you can kind of figure out from the credits. We have Rick Grosenbacher, which is probably the Rick that you see on the left-hand side here. We also have a George that you can see, and I think the Stubbs is Sam Hubster, but I'm not 100% sure on that, and the rest of them I can't figure out. And if you're wondering about the whole VV Chimps thing, let me replay for you the opening credits. The second difference is kind of like a glitch, I guess. You can actually interrupt the announcer when you rev your engine. In the retail version of the game, it's the exact opposite. The announcer interrupts your revving.
3, 2, 1, go! 3, 2, 1, go!
So thank you everybody for watching, kind of a shorter and sweeter episode today. If you'd like to check this ROM out for yourself to compare differences between this and the retail release version, you can, because the owner is releasing the ROM via Forest of Illusion. There will be links in the description below when available. And I should mention that in addition to releasing the ROM, the owner is also an eBay seller, so this cartridge will be up for auction. If you're interested in checking it out physically, I'm gonna go ahead and put a link to his store in the description as well. Aside from that, if this is your first time checking out the show, welcome. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff so you never miss an episode, and hope to see you all back next time.